Hey everybody, it's Thomas. Blood Bowl League of Blood Bowl is what we're talking about today. Not too surprising because that's what we usually talk about. We're going to go over what happened this week and what's going to happen next week. So saith Thomas, I had quite the game last week. The dice were very, very cooperative and no level ups is kind of the worst part. I got a ton of SPP on these blitzers though. Marsha picked up a couple more touchdowns here or one more touchdown, I think. Yes, one more touchdown. Jason picked up another touchdown. Also got some injuries for a change on these guys, so that's kind of exciting. So yeah, no level ups though, but I did manage to get all my peelers back because they're back now. This thrower still niggling, but whatever. I did end up buying a lineman because he got the MVP, and I was like, well, might as well. And then I learned you can't actually change the name of the mercenaries you buy, which kind of makes sense, but come on, man. Let me do it. Let me do it. Because this name is dumb. At least it doesn't fit with the theme at all. Oh, well, what can you do? So, that's what's up with the team. Still have this lineman out with a miss next game. It's nothing too serious here, but I have all of these players back, which puts me up to 11 now, I believe. Yes, I'll have 11 players next week, so that's good. No loners for me. Pretty pumped about that. 2, 6, 11. Phew. Okay, double check our math. Targets for me, obviously, you're getting maybe Marsha to level 3, getting Bunny to level 2, it's certainly crucial. Getting these catchers to level 3 or 4, respectively. William's kind of close, actually, but not super close. This thrower, also pretty close. I also have 2 linemen that I'm going to try to do throws to, just to get them up there. That said, might be a bit tricky to do that assuming I get more than one kick to me, which hopefully I like to avoid anyway, so we'll see how it goes. Other thoughts. I've got a bunch of money now, as you can see, 100k, 6 fan factor. I'm not spending anything with this for a couple reasons. One, my team value is already really, really high, and I've got 11 players at this point. I'll have 12 actually when Paul comes back, and I'm going to save money in case one of these catchers gets murdered or really horrifically injured, because I'm pretty due for a pretty big injury. Having only a niggling on my team is kind of ridiculous, so we'll see what happens there. Game itself, though, like I said, it was a pretty good game for everybody. Actually, dice were really cooperative. You can watch it up here if you haven't already. Let's take a look at the details. I got 80k because I had fame and I rolled a 6. Really great. Chris put up one hell of a fight, in part because he got 2 blitzes on his kickoffs to me. 3-2 total score. Probably would have been a lot closer if I hadn't gotten kind of lucky on a defensive scatter towards the end there. Also, probably would have been a little bit closer had I not rolled skulls inopportunely at a few moments, and also if he hadn't gotten the 2 blitzes. By closer, I mean more points for me. That said, I did get a ton of SPP, 7 passes, which I think is a record for me and the league. 1 casualty, 3 touchdowns, and MVP, so that's pretty great news. So we're looking at a total of 12, 21, 23 SPP, which is a whole ton. Chris posted a bunch as well. I got 3 casualties again, so he's got 6, 12, 17, 19 SPP. Not too surprising. Super scoring teams get a lot of SPP. My money luck continues to be extremely great. I think it's just making up for the previous seasons when I got a whole lot of nothing, but can't complain whatsoever. Like I said, this game was pretty good dice-wise. Only a couple double skulls rolled, and those were for me, unfortunately. Chris got 1 or 2, I think. But yeah, not too bad whatsoever. No injuries, really, aside from the miss next game. I don't think I did. Oh, no, that's not true. I did kill one of his gutter runners, which got re-rolled into, I want to say, a miss next game, or at least some sort of penalty. We'll see that in a second here as we jump over to the Chris side of things. How could I forget the murdered gutter runner? It was like one of the first things I did. Smash knee, which is just the niggling. So yeah, not the end of the world, but it does make the gutter runner more likely to get hurt. That said, Chris got an SPP on some real crucial players. He also has a level 3 player now, and it's on his +1 strength gutter runner. I'm guessing this is going to be block. Depends on what he rolls. +1 strength also makes horns very appealing. Makes him 4 on a blitz, and with 9 movement allowance and dodge and 4 agility, there's not a lot of people that can stop him, and that's one hell of a cage smasher. This one leveled up, probably will be block. Like I said, Chris likes block a lot. Can't blame him. This lineman leveled up. I would like to see kick on this team. I think it's something that'd be very advantageous. That or wrestle, I think would be very good. We'll see the rolls. Chris doesn't like either of those skills as far as I know, and Chris also likes to pick weird skills. So who knows? It might be frenzy or something crazy because Chris likes to mess with me. Beyond that, any other changes? Not really. I don't remember if the Slimeman leveled up or not last week, but SPP, not so, or really great for SPP, not so great for the money. Only 30k for Chris, so that's not so good. I don't know if I mentioned how well the first half of this game went for me. It went extremely well. 2 of my touchdowns were from that, and just did lots of elfy bullshit things all game, essentially. Got runners are fast. This whole team is really fast, and that was really annoying because there was no real safe place for me ever, but 4 agility everywhere helped, and also my catchers being a lot better than his helped quite a bit. So that was that game. Let's take a look at the other stuff here. Humans versus Lizards. Jessup blew away my expectations. I think I said he was going to win, but he won really convincingly. 3-1. Pretty good. A big part of this was Sid got extremely unlucky. Got 2 casualties here, one of which was, again, a Croc's first turn piling on Murderfest, taking out the Ogre, which is a really big deal. Ogre is niggling, but even then, breaking the 9 armor with piling on Mighty Blow isn't unlikely, but then getting an injury is also pretty significant. I don't know if the Apothecary was used for that because this game wasn't recorded, but yeah, it looks like some GFI and tackle failures as well. So not a lot of great stuff for Sid, unfortunately. 3 touchdowns, 2 casualties. Looking at these catches doesn't really mean anything about its own, so MVP. This is 9, and another 9 is 18, so really good week for Jessup in terms of SPP generation. For Sid, not the best. 3 passes, MVP, and a touchdown is not terrible, but it's only 11, which isn't too bad, like I said, but Sid needs more than that for his team. Let's take a look for Jessup got. The big problem is the Croxagore got more SPP, and that's kind of it. Who got the MVP? Looks like it was a skink, judging by where these numbers are. He did buy another. He kept this Saurus, which I'm a little surprised about. I would have got rid of him, but hey, whatever works. Looks like he did buy another skink, which is fine. Got a touchdown on him as well, so the skink's almost level 2. This skink also hit level 2. Got diving tackle on this guy, which I like a lot. This one's also almost level 3, which is pretty amazing. Sidestep would probably be the next thing to get for this piece. Could certainly do the same thing here, sidestep and or diving tackle. Diving tackle works great in pairs. He's got 2 catch pieces here, so he can move the ball pretty effectively already. Yeah, this team's looking great, except for the Sauruses. Those are looking really sad. Definitely needs more SVP on the Sauruses. Only having 1 block Saurus is actually going to hurt him as he moves further and further into the league. They're really strong, and that helps a lot, but I just don't know. There's only so much you can count on for the skinks, and people are going to start getting tackle just to help deal with these. I mean, I'm even thinking about getting tackle just to help deal with some of these jerks. So we'll see what happens, but it's just not a long-term viable thing to have skinks loading up on all SPP. Might be worthwhile giving the Saurus the ball just to help get touchdowns, but having none of his SPPs even go to the more than this Saurus is pretty unlucky. So who knows? Jessup, though, looking pretty good here. 3 rerolls and Apothecary and everything else. Doing good. Let's look at Sid's half of this. Sid walking away with only 30k. Sid has had the opposite I have had and has had not a lot of money go his way. SPP-wise, did get a level up on this lineman. Like Chris, I would like to see kick on this team with all of the catchers. It definitely would be something you could use. And the Ogre eats a serious concussion for his trouble. 8 armor value Ogre is brutal, and Sid does definitely not have the money to replace him. Especially because he needs to buy a 4th Blitzer, probably. Still, this team isn't in a bad spot, all things considered. Emil is almost level 3. Stefan is also almost level 3. 1 MVP or touchdown for these guys would definitely do that. Yeah, not a lot to say here. I don't know how well Dauntless performed here because, like I said, the game wasn't recorded, but I think it's still a good choice overall. sits kind of in a precarious position where he's got a fair amount of skills, just needs a few more things to come together, and mostly not be horribly unlucky. From understands also some bad luck with the Skinks as well. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention for Chris's team as well, totally slipped by me because I was so used to seeing it. He got a second thrower, which didn't do a whole lot, unfortunately. Placeholder is not a bad name for this team. I think he was asking me if he really needed the second thrower. I think he does, just in case this one gets taken out or whatever else, and this team can definitely use more players, but who knows. Team is dirt cheap and doesn't have to worry about too much. Other games of the week, a huge slugfest game for Chaos versus Dwarf here. You can watch this game up here as well. 80k for Andrew, which is pretty exciting there. But SPP-wise, not a great week for Andrew. Another week of just eating an MVP, and that's it. Orville, on the other hand, did get 2 casualties and an MVP out of that, so he's got 9 to Andrew's 5. And looks like Andrew had some fallovers as well, which is never great. I can't tell if those are probably tackles, I would imagine. From watching the game, both sides played pretty well. I think certainly both teams are kind of slow. Andrew maybe could have applied his force a little bit, but Orville's dice were also a little bit better in terms of removing players. Both people were pretty unlucky. Lots of skulls flew around this game. Orville's 2 rerolls didn't help as well either. But still, a tie is better than a loss, so better than nothing here. Finally picks up a fan factor, which hooray for that. When I was talking to Andrew, he was talking about saving up for the Minotaur, which is now very affordable. I say this all the time, how much Minotaurs cost, but I never remember. I want to say 160? 150. They cost 150. So he's got the money and 50k to spare, so good deal there. This Beastman is out. He could certainly get away with actually firing this Beastman, but it's probably worthwhile to hold on to him. He got block on this other one, which kind of what I expected. Yeah, nobody got anything this game. Looks like who got the MVP? Might have been Gentle Breeze. I don't remember how much SPP he had before. Andrew's kind of in better shape than Jessup is in terms of getting his Chaos Warriors SPP. I think I don't know. I don't know what to say. This team needs a lot of stuff. The Minotaur actually might help quite a bit. We'll see what happens. His team is really cheap right now, so that definitely helps. Minotaur will obviously bump that up quite a bit, though, but whatever. Orville's side of things. Orville actually got a level up out of this, which is pretty good. He got Mighty Blow on this Blitzer, or he got level 3 on this Mighty Blitzer. Actually, he did it by quite a bit and has a ton of casualties on him now. Mighty Blow definitely helps that out a lot. In terms of what to get, Tackle probably would be okay. You could certainly make an argument for getting Piling On. I think Tackle is probably the safer thing because dwarves are so slow. I almost think it's not worth getting Piling On until you get more guard and stuff everywhere. Let's see here. Hey. Well, it doesn't agree with my assessment. Other things in this team, no other progressions here. Nothing too significant. I don't know where the MVP went, honestly. Might have been on this Blitzer. But I talked to Orville, and I said, hey, remember, don't forget to get your 3rd reroll this week. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not forgetting to get my 3rd reroll. I'm just going straight for the Death Roller, which he can just barely afford because he rolled so crappily. Only 40k for Orville, which is definitely not good. He's also had pretty terrible luck on the money front. Good thing most of his players are very durable, except for the one that died. But yeah, Death Roller would definitely do some interesting things for this team. The Death Roller is, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about how great it is. It's really funny though, so I'll endorse it. I can't help but endorse the Death Roller. We'll definitely bump up his team value by quite a bit though. Because let's see, he'll be at 1100 with the level up, assuming normal level ups, and then so 1260 will be his new team value. Let's take a look at the last match of the week. I actually haven't watched this game because it just happened a little bit ago. Khemri versus Orc. Mark came through and fulfilled my glorious prediction and gave Greyduck her first loss. Only rolled 20k, but he doesn't need to buy a lot, so who cares? 3 casualties, 1 MVP for Orcs, which I think is one of the worst things they've had, but 11 SPP is not too bad for a hitting team. Mark finally getting some casualties on the board. 3 casualties, 1 touchdown, and an MVP gives him the glorious total of 14, which I'm pretty sure is unfortunately the best that he's done ever, barring these matches that didn't actually happen, which really sucks. What do we get here? So it looks like you got level 3 on this Tomb Guardian and level 2 on this thrower block. Awesome. Awesome. Keep these ball carriers up in a block heavy league, although certainly still dangerous to wrestle, but I think I'm the only one with wrestle in the league still, so there you go. Getting guard on this Tomb Guardian will help a ton. Mighty Blow guard, absolutely super core on these Tomb Guardians, and that's all they really need, honestly. This one's actually getting pretty close as well. I say pretty close, but for Tomb Guardian being more than 6 is a pretty big deal. In terms of other things, taking a look here. Did buy another skeleton here, got the Monarch, which is awesome. That's all of his money. Not a lot for this team to buy, though. Could make an argument to buy more skeletons, but I think at this point just save up your cash. Hopefully you don't have to replace any of these idiots. And regeneration will help a bit too, but 1,300 for the team value. Not a lot more to buy. I think you're just fine. One other thing I wanted to mention. I can't think of anything. Oh, yeah, these Blitz Rods need skills really bad, but obviously Mark knows that too. Yeah, we'll see how this team does. It's getting there. The Tomb Guardians are getting scarier and scarier, and two scary Tomb Guardians are very scary for a good reason. Greyduck finally eating a loss. Only 40k, but much like Mark, didn't really need the money too much. Fired and rehired this lineman, and then these two Black Orcs are missed next game. Oh, I should mention what I do know about this game is these Black Orcs got taken out very early, both with Niglings, which will hurt a little bit, but 9 armor is hard to break, so it shouldn't be the end of the world for this team. But missing Black Orcs makes this team a lot less effective. She'll have one loner lineman, assuming she doesn't buy somebody else. I think she can afford a troll, if I'm not too mistaken. Trolls are 110, I want to say. I think that's the goblin price, though. I think they're the same everywhere. Yeah, it's 110 for a troll, so she could buy a troll. Would help fill some of these gaps. Argument is, of course, that trolls are very unreliable, and screw trolls in a league this short, which isn't bad. Levels up. Level 3 on this thrower. A couple things worth getting here. Block, certainly not the end of the world. That would keep this thrower safe. Leader wouldn't be too bad, too. I think block is the safer choice, obviously. With sure hands and block, not a lot knocks you over, and not a lot gets that ball free beyond wrestle. So, there you go. This Blitzer hit level 2. At this point, I think you could start going for Mighty Blow. Reason for that is you have 2 guard pieces already, and while guard is certainly on the table, I just think you need more things to help remove opposition players. Mighty Blow will help quite a bit. Tackle could be made argument for as well, but you already have block, so you already have the 1/3 chance of knocking over a player with dodge, so meh. And the players with dodge are not super significant, so it might be worthwhile picking up, just considering that not too many other blitzers are that close. Although this one's almost level 3, and it could get tackle pretty easily, so choices. Other things to worry about, not a lot. Could certainly just save money, maybe buy the mercenary if it gets there, but I don't think it's super necessary. This team is still pretty scary. Oh god, these Black Orcs going out is really terrifying. It's not great for her, but I think she's playing me next week, so it doesn't really matter. What was I going to say about this team too? I have one more thing. I can't remember. Whatever, who cares? So that wraps up that week. Prediction-wise, I did pretty good, actually. Tie, I think I called this one. I don't remember who I said this one, but I think Jessup did. And then I won this one, and then Mark pulled the magic and gave a loss here. We take a look at overall rankings here. Loss keeps Greyduck at 15, me at 14 with my win here. Jessup winning again puts him up to 3rd, and then Mark's win puts him at 4th over Chris. Pools right now, as they stand, are Orc, Khemri, Skaven, and Dwarf, which is pretty messy. And then Chaos, Human, Lizards, and me. That will likely change because of how clumped these teams are. Orville and Andrew winning or tying when the other one loses or ties will help shuffle who gets that last slot. So both these people still matter quite a bit in terms of dictating overall group positioning. Same with me and Greyduck, we're pretty close together, so we could easily flop. Jessup is probably going to be in group 2, just because even if he wins, and yeah, there's no way for him to make it up to 1, and there's no way for anybody to supplant him and push him down to 4th, so yeah. We know for sure Lizards will be in group 2. That's kind of the only thing we do know, really. Everyone else is too clumped together. So we'll see how we're doing after next week when we actually have all the things, I guess. Let's take a look at the week ahead here. We've got Humans versus Skaven. Should be a pretty interesting game. Much like the Elf versus Skaven match of this week, both these teams are very scory. Chris's levels up, assuming no doubles or anything weird. We'll put him at 1260 for team value. Sid will be sitting at 1100, so he will get 150, which is wizard money. Yeah, he's 10 short of getting a mercenary ogre like he did against me, which is a bit unfortunate. God, this ogre going out is going to hurt quite a bit, but this ogre being out against Chris is probably not the end of the world. It's very unlucky, despite his name, to be missing your ogre ever, but at least he's been fortunate enough that it's been against relatively weaker teams like me and Chris. These blitzers are very, very good. Catchers are very, very annoying, and it's got a fair amount of throwing. That said, the big human advantages are speed and fair amount of punching. Big part of their punching game got lost, whereas Chris's game is overall relatively attack, and in fact got stronger. This Gutter Runner being strength 3 is probably going to be a pretty big deal. We'll see. Sid's not as mobile as me as well. The reason why this wasn't as huge deal for me is because this team is pretty mobile, and even then, this was very annoying for me. So we'll see what happens. Bad thing is the Dauntless is going to be kind of a wasted skill against this team, so that kind of sucks. Kind of depends on what skills Chris chooses as well. I'm going to say Chris can win this game. Sid throws a lot more than Chris does, but sometimes these numbers really matter. We'll see. Sid is also really good at breaking armor. He's just great at punching people straight in the face, so that can definitely dictate a lot. I think the blitzers are going to be pretty key. It's interesting. We'll see. This blitzer in particular might very well hit level 3 because he's only 1 touchdown, 1 punch away. Lot can happen though. We'll see. Should be a pretty interesting game. Should be fun to watch. Unfortunately, it's not going to be recorded. But hey, I think Chris should win this one just fine. We've got Chaos versus Lizards up next. Normally, I would say Chaos is going to have this. With the Minotaur, it's going to be a lot closer, simply because Andrew will be able to stand up on the line a little bit more. The Minotaur has 8 armor value, but also has horns, which should help him blitz down the Crocs if need be. But the lack of skills here is kind of a big deal. That said, he's got 2 block and horns, and he's got claw. Andrew's also due for some pretty good work. We'll see. The running game on the Skink and the speed in the Skinks is probably going to be a big factor. I think Andrew can definitely cage and punch well, though. So let's take a look at team values here before we go too crazy. 1330, assuming normal rolls on the Skink. If the Skink gets doubles and gets block, obviously that changes things quite a bit. Andrew's sitting at 1060 if he buys the Minotaur, like he says he's going to. That will put him to 1210. So should be another 100 for Andrew, if I did my math right. 1330, 1210. Yeah, another 100 for Andrew plus 20. Yeah, no mercenary players, you can use that. So, reroll number 4. Probably what I would say based on Andrew's luck so far. 2 babes would also be pretty good just because the Lizards hit really hard and can certainly knock these beastmen out. We'll see. I think Andrew's got a pretty good chance of winning this game simply because he's pretty strong. Minotaur's really good. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a pretty interesting game. I'm excited to watch it. And then we've got Orcs versus me. Much like Sid, Greyduck having 2 Black Orcs missing is less of a big deal because it is against me. So what is this team value going to be looking like? Assuming normal rolls here, we will be at 1120 plus 1 mercenary lineman, so 1170. I am giving her a lot of money because I am at 1320, so that is wizard money at 150. I say this a lot, and I don't know how effective a wizard is against an elf team. I just don't feel like it's that effective. Lightning Bolt is the one you'd probably use just to stop a touchdown, but even then this team is so fast comparatively to an orc team that I don't know if it really matters. We both have kicks, so this should be pretty fun. Running after the ball everywhere. With the Black Orcs going, I definitely have a much better chance. I've got Wrestle. I've got enough block where I should be okay. And I've got Blodge and no tackle yet on the Orc team. She does have that Blitzer with a level up and could get tackle, so we'll see. But even then, that's just one piece. Otherwise, Blodge Sidestep is still really good. I say this as my Blodgers almost always get powed down. I think I can win this game. It should be pretty difficult just because these Blitzers are jerks, and I don't have a good way of dealing with Black Orcs. That said, if I can outmaneuver Jessup, I think I can outmaneuver Grey Duck. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if she buys anything as well. That will definitely impact that. But Wizard Money. Hard to say no to Wizard Money, and that team doesn't really need more players. So we'll see. I'm going to say I'm going to win it, though, because I think I can. And then if we look at this match, we have Khemri versus Dwarf. I expect Mark to just crush this matchup. 1,300 is what I said, and then Orville is looking at 1,100 plus the Death Roller is 1,260, so nothing for inducements. Death Roller is scary, but Dirty Player and no bribe means he's not that effective. Assuming that Orville doesn't field him on the drive, Mark could certainly just stall out for the, let's say Orville kicks or Mark receives turn one, or first half, which pretty reasonable. Mark could certainly just punch his way clear, stall at the end zone. These dwarves can't stand up to Tomb Guardians. They just can't. And if you're on the defensive, there's no reason to play the Death Roller, even with the ability to smash a Tomb Guardian really hard. There's no reason to do it. So Mark's offensive drive, assuming that he gets the ball first, will be really hard for Orville to do anything against. Assuming that Orville doesn't have to kick and receives the ball, then it's a much different story. The Death Roller could cause a lot of damage early on. That said, Tomb Guardians are still really hard for the rest of this team to deal with if Mark just parks some skeletons around. We'll see. That said, Mark's dice are very unlucky. I think that Mark can still win this game, though. The Dwarf team just can't mess. All this 3 strength, even with Dauntless, is a lot to deal with. And Dauntless is actually really, really risky now with it being a 3+ instead of a 2+. Excuse me. 3+ means that's a lot more unreliable. It's not impossible, and you can re-roll Dauntless, I think, but it's still a lot riskier than it is against 4 strength people, and just, even with Mighty Blow, really hard for these Troll Slayers to stand up to a Tomb Guardian, especially with one having guard now. I think there's no way Mark doesn't win this game. Might be close, because both these teams are slow, but Mark, I think, can easily just swat his way through things. So, thinking about group stage here, if Chris wins and Sid loses and Mark wins, and what did I say here? If Jessup loses, Mark wins, that would not change these things. If I win, move this around a little bit, and then, okay. So if my predictions hold out, pools will be just a little bit different. It will be it'll be me, Khemri. Will this change at all? No. Me, Khemri, Skaven, and Dwarf. And then Orc, Lizards, Humans, and Chaos. Ugh, what a pool. Alright, let's look at the Hall of Fame. Most experienced player, 20, losing by 1. Almost had it, but we'll see who's got the most. Looks like me and Orc. Sitting, oh no, just me with most experienced players. Close second with Orc. Not too surprising given how lucky Grey Duck's been with SPP. Best scoring, still me here. Not too surprising because I spread out my stuff quite a bit and I score a lot of touchdowns. Yeah, no big shockers here. Most throwing, hooray! I'm the best at throwing. Go Elf bullshit. Jimbo's put a lot of work for me, and I throw with everybody, so not too surprised to see I have most players here. Only two interceptions, nothing new there, and most violent player is 6 on the Dwarf team. Sorry, really coffee tonight. Not too bad. Best running, Dean ran so far, and he's running away with the best running category. Eyes up here quite far as well, and anything else? No, not really, no big changes. Best throwing yardage, so keeping it up, good deal. Survivor, always worthless. Best killer, no murders this week. I would be on here if not for that apothecary someday. Someday I'll get an elf on the kill list. in the murdered way. I've already been murdered, so not that. Best receiver, Sid loves throwing to the Emil, not too surprising because he has Blodge, so good deal there. I hope accurate was actually really useful. I think it was. I don't see how it couldn't be. Man, I am really moving my throwing around quite a bit. And God, Sid throws so much. Yeah, not surprising here that the Super Ball agility team is moving the ball the most. All right, I'm rambling now at this point. So, quick recap because I forgot to do it. Skaven should win. Chaos should win. Honestly, this might be a tie, but I think Andrew can do it, especially if he gets the Minotaur. I think he can do it. Elf, and then Khemri. Boop, 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 boop. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week. We're going to talk about the group stage next week. That'll make everything a lot more interesting. Those games really matter for overall winner, so we'll get into it. It'll be great. My name's Thomas.